When people talk about Medellin, they usually talk about the skyline, the weather, the food, the nightlife in Provenza, the views from the hills, the transformation story, the energy, the women, the music, the color, the charm. But there's another Medellin that exists long before the sun goes down, long before the clubs open, long before the rooftop bars come alive. And that place sits right in the heart of the city, right in El Centro, where everything is louder, faster, rawer, and far more real than most tourists expect, especially during the daytime, when most people assume nothing much is happening at all. Because the truth is, while tourists are eating breakfast in El Poblado or planning their afternoon coffee tour, El Centro is already fully awake, fully active, and fully operating in its own rhythm. And if you don't understand that rhythm, if you don't respect it, if you don't move with intention, that's where people get confused, overwhelmed, or make mistakes that turn a good trip into a bad memory. This isn't a place you stumble into accidentally and just figure out. It's a place you observe first, understand second, and engage with carefully if you choose to engage at all. During the daytime, El Centro doesn't look like what most people imagine when they hear the phrase red light district. There are no neon signs screaming at you, no club doors swinging open, no loud music pulling you inside. Instead, it looks like a normal working district at first glance. Shops open, people commuting, vendors selling food, taxis moving constantly, offices operating, pedestrians everywhere. And that's exactly why it catches tourists off guard. Everything is layered here. What looks ordinary on the surface often has a second purpose underneath it, and sometimes a third. As you walk through the streets, you start to notice patterns. You see women standing in the same spots repeatedly, not pacing, not calling out, just positioned. You notice subtle eye contact that lasts a half second longer than normal. You notice how some conversations start casually and quietly, not rushed, not aggressive, just matter of fact. This isn't chaos, it's structure. It's routine. It's business conducted calmly in daylight because daylight feels safer, more visible, and more controlled for everyone involved. For tourists, especially first-timers, the biggest mistake is assuming that because it's daytime, the rules are relaxed. In reality, the rules matter more here because everything moves faster. Transactions are quicker. Decisions are expected sooner. And misunderstandings happen when visitors bring nighttime expectations into a daytime environment. This is not a party zone. This is not a fantasy zone. This is a working environment embedded inside a busy city. And when you remember that, everything becomes clearer. If you want to have a good time and stay safe, the first thing you need is awareness. Not fear, not paranoia, just awareness. Know where you are. Know why you're there. Know how long you plan to stay. And most importantly, know when to leave. Wandering aimlessly is what gets people into trouble here. Purpose is protection. Another thing tourists need to understand is that El Centro is not built for comfort. It's loud, it's crowded, it's intense, and it doesn't slow down for you. If you look lost, confused, or unsure, you stand out immediately. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It means calm movement, steady pace, minimal distractions. Phone in your pocket, eyes up, no unnecessary stopping in doorways or corners. These small behaviors communicate that you're present and paying attention, and that alone changes how people interact with you. Money management is another critical factor. You don't flash cash here. You don't pull out large bills on the street. You don't negotiate loudly. If you're carrying money, carry only what you need, separate it into different pockets, and never let anyone see the full amount. This isn't unique to El Centro, but it matters more here because everything happens in close proximity. People notice things. People remember things. Tourists also need to understand that friendliness does not automatically equal safety, and coldness does not equal danger. Many interactions in El Centro are polite, calm, and transactional. Problems usually arise when someone tries to change the rules, push boundaries, or assume they can talk their way into something better. Respect the structure. Respect the price if one is discussed. Respect the space. Walking away is always an option, and it's often the smartest one. One of the most overlooked safety principles is timing. El Centro changes by the hour. Late morning feels different from early afternoon. Mid-afternoon feels different from early evening. As the workday ends, Foot traffic shifts, enforcement patterns change, and the atmosphere tightens. Tourists who stay too long without realizing the shift are often the ones who feel suddenly uncomfortable without understanding why. Listen to that instinct. It's telling you something. If you're traveling solo, your margin for error is smaller. That doesn't mean you can't explore. It means you need stricter rules for yourself. No alcohol, no substances, no emotional decisions. Clear head, clear judgment. If you're with someone, agree ahead of time on boundaries and exit plans. Never assume you'll figure it out later. Later is how people get separated. Transportation matters too. When you leave, leave with intention. Have a taxi plan. Use rides you trust. Don't linger deciding what to do next on the sidewalk. Movement is safety. Standing still without purpose draws attention, and attention isn't always what you want here. And here's something many tourists don't like hearing but need to understand. Having a good time doesn't mean pushing limits. It means staying in control of yourself. The people who enjoy El Centro the most are the ones who treat it like a cultural observation first and an interaction second. You don't need to participate in everything to understand it. Sometimes watching, learning, and then leaving is the best experience you can have. If you respect the environment, respect yourself, and respect the people who operate there, El Centro can be eye-opening rather than overwhelming. It shows you a side of Medellin that isn't curated for tourists, that isn't polished, that isn't pretending to be something else. And whether you choose to engage or simply observe, the key is the same. Stay grounded, stay alert, stay humble, and remember that the best trip stories are the ones you get to tell because nothing went wrong. And if this kind of real-world travel guidance helps you see places differently, take a moment to support the channel. Like the video, leave a comment with your thoughts or questions, and subscribe for more unfiltered, experience-based travel insight. That support helps keep this kind of content coming. And one more thing that deserves attention, especially for visitors who think experience automatically equals immunity, is the quiet confidence that El Centro demands from you. This isn't the kind of place where bravado earns respect. In fact, the louder you are, the more visible you become, and visibility without purpose is rarely an advantage here. The men who move through this district without issue aren't the ones trying to prove anything. They're the ones who understand that blending in is not about dressing like a local, but about acting like someone who knows exactly where he's going, even if he's just passing through. You also need to understand that curiosity is normal, but indulgence is optional. You don't owe anyone a conversation, a response, or an explanation for why you're moving on. A polite nod, a calm, no gracias, and continued forward motion are often all it takes. Hesitation creates openings. Over-explaining creates confusion. Simplicity keeps things clean. And when it's time to leave, leave cleanly. Don't look back. Don't second-guess. Don't linger to reflect while standing still. Reflection comes later, somewhere quieter, somewhere safer, somewhere removed from the noise and movement of the streets. El Centro rewards decisiveness.